You're not alone, together we're strong.
Hello, Samira.
Hi, James.
Wonderful. And I've been looking forward to speaking with you about this subject. I think that you're the perfect person to speak with regarding emotional aspects and the healing that comes along with cancer, and especially with your background and people tuning in and watching this video. There's two other videos with Samira, and that'll go into her background and medical background as an RN and so forth. So I'm really looking forward to it. And we'll also put in links where you can get in contact with Samira. And if you contact me, then I'm also very happy to forward and help set consults with Samira as well. And we'll start off. You were going to start off by talking about the diagnosis of cancer and those aspects and the studies regarding the emotional aspects and those traumas are really interesting. So it's affecting what the natural killer cells. It's affecting cortisol levels. All of these things. It just starts to seem to kind of compound on each other, wouldn't you say? It just kind of it just seems to have a cascading effect.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, for some time now, they've been studying the connection between chronic stress and just this dis-ease in the body in general. So it doesn't, we're talking about cancer specifically, but it could be, heart disease to just, excess weight that you can't lose, like all of these things where your body feels, because the body's, from what I understand, the body cannot tell a difference between a perceived threat and a real threat.
Okay.
So when something is a threat, it's just a threat. And the body has really, it's very intelligent, and it has mechanisms to mitigate, the sort of the perceived attack or the real attack. So whether it's a mental stress, it's a physical stress, like sometimes, we're really hard on our bodies, or it's an emotional stress where it's like interpersonal relationships or life stresses. All of those, the body, to a certain extent, can ward off. Basically, it has mechanisms in place. So you mentioned cortisol. So cortisol is our stress hormone.
Okay.
And, when you're under stress, that, let's just simplify it and say like cortisol is released in the body, and it helps your body deal with stress. So it actually is your fight or flight stress hormone.
Okay.
And to a certain extent, it's like, they always make the analogy of like, you see a tiger and you run. So it's like, that adrenaline rush where your body just knows what to do in that moment.
Okay.
What happens in our lives, and this is not new, is that we're under something called chronic stress. So it's
Right.
like every day is stressful, but it's like a little bit every day, as opposed to like something really big and scary, like a threatening animal where you run for your life and then you get to safety and then it's over. So it's
Right.
like a blip and then it's a dip, right? But our lives are just chronic. So it's like we're constantly under some kind of stress, whether it's like watching the news to,
Right.
Financial issues, or, like physical stress, like you have a job where your body's really being worn down. So all of that is still stress. So over time, your body can get really depleted. And the studies have shown that people who are under chronic stress or chronic emotional burden, the chances of something happening later in life or later down the road is very likely. And so there's been studies done on even things that have happened to you in your childhood. And it's actually called ACEs, which I was just mentioning before we came online.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, so it's adverse childhood events. And they actually looked at, and it's actually like a quiz that you can do. There's about, 15 questions. And you actually like fill out this form, and it talks about like the things that happened in your childhood. And they actually made a correlation between, adults who in their childhood had really bad things happen or really stressful things happen, and then the chances of having developing some kind of a disease in their body later. So
Right.
just mentioned cancer. They mentioned many things, but cancer was definitely on the list. And I remember this came out, or the first time I ever heard of it was like in 2004, let's say, so it's not a new thing. And if you go online, you can find studies about that correlation. But then in general, just, we're just living very chronically stressful lives. And at some point, our bodies are exhausted
Right.
because it's not just acute stress, it's chronic. And so it's like doing the best it can, but at some point that might catch up with you. And
Correct.
that be a physical breakdown or signs and symptoms in your body. And cancer is just like a big one, it's a big life-changing one.
Correct. And over the last 13 years speaking with cancer patients,
Yeah.
it is normal for me to have a conversation
Yes.
where some type of traumatic event, whether that was an injury, a death in the family, something stressful, okay,
Yeah.
and then cancer follows, right?
Yeah.
Or the cancer diagnosis. So I was also in a integrative and holistic facility once, and the doctor was talking about a patient where they've gone through all these therapies and traditional therapies, integrative therapies, holistic therapies,
Mm-hmm.
and the doctor states something's going on that this patient hasn't addressed on an emotional level. And when they started addressing those things, then they started seeing the changes.
That's
So
me.
it, it's amazing how the body reacts
Yeah.
to all those things. And then someone telling you, oh, what you're going through is not a big deal, right? Or that's not a big deal. May not be a big deal for them, but your body's reacting that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's amazing that oncologist or that physician actually identified that, because not everyone quite understands the importance of this aspect, like I
Mm-hmm.
before, because you can be doing all these amazing things, like you're going through the efforts and the time and the resources to implement these life-saving, hopefully life-saving strategies to
Right.
improve your health and heal, and yet there's this piece that is maybe sabotaging things. That's kind of
Correct.
how, right? So it's like and then yet you've got this burden, whether it's interpersonal relationships or just experiences you've had in your past that are still with you. It's like I mentioned last time, there's that book that is called The Body Keeps the Score.
Correct.
You might have mentally forgotten about something, but your body still remembers,
Right.
so. But I mean, just the diagnosis of cancer itself is like such a stressful, typically a very stressful, life-changing event.
Correct. Even people that will say that thought they had cancer
Mm-hmm.
and it turned out to not be cancer, that 2 weeks, a month, 2 months that they went through in turmoil waiting to get that diagnosis, that
Exactly.
was a tough one. That
Yeah,
was a tough one.
exactly. And sometimes that happens and people, it's again, like I just kind of talk about it like it's a forced pause on your
Right.
life, because everything else from having your morning coffee to, socializing with friends comes to a screeching halt because now you're dealing with this life-changing news,
Right.
waiting for news. It's like the worst, one of the most challenging things to go through. And, unless you're in it, it's so hard to understand. Like if you've never experienced that, even people around you, they obviously they can empathize and sympathize, but like the person who's going through it, it's such a lonely place to be,
Correct.
and it's like no one can feel that burden, I guess. And so, because I've gone through that journey, I really identify with that. And it's definitely not an easy place to be. Thankfully, you do your best, but you can navigate it, as best as you can, with just trying to just take it one step at a time, and really try to look one foot forward, and one
Right.
time and just try to do the best you can with what you know. You always trying to make everyone's trying to make the best decision for themselves. I know there's a lot of noise because not only do we have the people around us telling us how we should handle the situation,
Right.
there's the online, amount,
Yes.
infinite amount
Yes.
of information. And you have people who, they'll say, well, this person successfully treated their cancer or handled their cancer and they did okay. So why don't you try this? Like, it's very overwhelming. And
Right.
now we have social media and these, everyone's talking about this is the cure or this is the solution.
Right.
Like it's an absolute. And,
I don't think there's a magic. I don't
yeah,
think there's a magic bullet out there. If it was, they'd be doing it already. I mean, I'm not so pessimistic to think that somebody out there's got this one magic bullet cure, but they're not going to tell you about it, right? I don't think I'm not that pessimistic to think that. And so you talk about that background noise. That background noise that's coming in is coming in from the internet you mentioned,
yes,
because we've got instant access to everything now. Okay,
yeah,
like whenever my mom had cancer, we had to go. You had to go to the library, right? You had to go. And now everything's instant. And then, of course, there's lots of friends and family
mm-hmm.
that want to. They Some of them want the best for you. I don't think that everybody does, but some of them want the best for you, and they're flooding you with information. So it and that can get overwhelming. So not every task, not from beginning to end, has to be solved today.
Yes,
Only the first step has to be done today. So that first step may simply be going to the doctor's office, right?
yeah,
For that, and bring somebody with you.
yeah,
Bring somebody with you. The doctor's not going to mind if you bring somebody with you. But when you're working with patients, you're going into those traumas and identifying them. Is that correct?
yeah. So what we do is the first session so I send them a very detailed questionnaire and I want to know everything about them from, their childhood experiences to the parents, the siblings, the relationships, the current relationships, big life events,
Okay.
what they do professionally. Like there's a lot of questions and they take their time and fill this out for me. And then I get that back and then I spend quite a few, hours combing through their responses. And what I create is called a root cause life timeline. So
Okay.
I plot their life on a graph, a line with these events and these sort of key moments in their life up until the point that when they were diagnosed.
Okay.
We're doing an introspective and retrospective look at their whole life, and we're trying to sort of we're kind of like detectives together, and we're actually trying to pinpoint
Right.
what happened to them, what their journey, because everyone's is unique, but most of us have had some challenges through our
Right.
lives, right? There's
Right.
nobody that's sort of not had that. And so we really pinpoint where that, I was talking about chronic stress or big stressful events, we're looking at where those moments happened. And so, it brings a lot of clarity and closure sometimes because we talk about it. And I
Mhm.
do some very sort of introspective exercises like letter writing to the person. They could be even if they've passed away, so we're doing a lot of supportive work like that on the emotional spectrum.
Okay. And
Mhm.
I mean, we have all kinds of viewers from all occupations,
Yes.
and uh there I've talked with some pretty tough people over the
Yeah.
years, so with tough occupations, you're thinking, okay, like tough guys, right? So they were soldiers, they were firemen, policemen, just bouncers, right? These were some tough people.
Mhm.
And it even when we're talking about those tough emotional things that happen, followed with cancer not too long ago, hey, it affected those people too.
Of course.
So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
not just it's not just hey, it's not just the lady down the street. It affected it affects your body is affected by those things.
Yes, absolutely. And I work with men and women. Like currently I have both female and male patients. And, the thing is that this is an opportunity because a lot of us, when we were young, we were actually told like, don't cry or keep it to yourself or keep quiet. So that is what those studies are about, is about the suppression of
Right,
those emotional, like we wanted to cry, but we were told not to. So then we would stuff it back in or hold it in.
right.
And like the studies show that causes a breakdown in your body because it's chronic stress,
Okay,
chronic related to the emotional and mental burden that we've carried for so long. And so this is an opportunity for especially the people who, had to sort of like be the tough guys that had to keep it in, whether they've gone through like war or a really difficult job or just having to be the provider or any of these scenarios, to
right.
actually see what they've held on to and then grieve, actually feel that emotional burden that they kind of missed having the experience of like way back then, and then
Hmm.
come to a place of like next steps, which is like to have some peace about it, and have
Right.
some neutrality about it, and that charge that that you'd carry inside you has kind of like, you just bring it down a little bit, and
Right.
it's just bring, and so then you allow your body to like do some of the healing that it needs to do, because you're actually like unwinding that tension in your body.
So it's
And
like so are you describing that, let's say if that emotional event, let's say mentally to you is, let's say, a 10, right?
yes,
And now with learning how to work with that, now maybe now it's like a 5 or a 4. It's no longer this overwhelming part of your, okay.
exactly. And you're bringing that, you're de-escalating it, right? So like you can still acknowledge that you went through something difficult, and it's not like you're ever going to forget, but
Right.
that emotional charge that you've been carrying, that maybe even torment about it, is subsided. And so when your body is in this lighter space, whatever other healing modalities you choose will even work better, because
Right.
now the body is in a better place, right? Because this is all about healing. So
Even because if your brain is never turning these things off and you're overly stressed,
yes,
and that's gonna affect your sleep.
yes,
I mean, how many studies are out there on not getting enough sleep and that affecting your cancer? So there's all of these things compound on each other. So it's not you're not saying, oh, you're just forgetting about these things.
no, you're not.
You're
You're just coming to a place where you're more at peace about them, like in.
okay.
And the other thing is like sometimes we're not even aware that these things are on our mind. Like again, another book that had a major influence on my thinking, and it again has the scientific literature in the book. If you would like, some people like to have that evidence, is another book called The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton.
Okay. And by the way, we're going to put links to these.
Sure.
We had some trouble putting some links to things before, but we'll put links to these books
Yeah.
so that people can we'll help out poor old Amazon there for a little bit and help people get some access to these books.
Yeah, so another great book that just talks about how a lot of like the things we've experienced go into our subconscious mind,
Hmm.
like the autopilot, like kind of like when you're driving and you don't even have to think about you're driving, you can carry a conversation. That's your subconscious mind. Like it's the autopilot side of things, like your mind.
Okay.
So really, the evidence shows that most of the way we behave and the way we feel in life is actually like learned learned things from our childhood, let's say, and it's actually like 95% of our mind is the subconscious mind. So that's what I mean. Like sometimes you're not even aware that something is bothering you.
Right.
So so that's why the opportunity to dive into some of this is to actually uncover some things that maybe you were not even aware of. Like you didn't even know because it happened so long ago. You kind of like put it so far back in your mind, you don't even know that it's bothering you now in this current, time and day. It's like it happened a long time ago, but it's still part of your psyche. It's part of your, it's still part of your makeup, I guess. So,
And
yeah.
and I'm glad that we're addressing that because you could do all of the medical modalities,
Yes.
and if these things are not being addressed, pretty good is you're increasing your odds that things are going to, that things are going to pop back, that things are going to pop back up again.
I think that's exactly right. Yes, exactly. So it is worth so many like it's worth it because it's the quality of your life
Mm-hmm.
healing your cancer. So it's just like a win-win, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And the even when you're speaking with patients, do they bring up, even like smells of certain things, bringing back, memories and they're like, I didn't know that was even bothering me until, something happened. So that's
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, most of it is like very vivid memories of a particular interaction they had.
hmm
They'll tell me something like, I don't know, I don't remember much about my childhood, but I do remember this one incident. And then they'll actually put that on the form, like where my mom, said this to me. And
right,
now writing about it, they're like, I can't believe she said that to me, and they're kind of like still upset about it.
right.
Yeah. Um, Smells come up sometimes, but I would say mostly it's these like childhood memories about like these interactions and things that happened to them. But yeah, for sure. I mean, once in a while the smell thing does come up, but not too often.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
for me, then I got caught in a flash flood years ago, and we had some rain, and you started to smell the wet soil and everything, and like, oh yeah,
That every time you smell that, you kind of comes back a
Yeah,
bit.
it starts to come back,
Yeah.
right? And I told some we're outside doing some activities, and I go, just need a moment, right? Just need a
Mm.
moment. Don't touch me.
Oh, but yeah, no, that's understandable. Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. It's like all of these things kind of go into our subconscious mind and it becomes a part of us, right? So you don't
Right.
understand it sometimes, but it just is.
The and what are you talked about, writing letters, and what are some other things that you could do on, on a daily basis? I believe that small things compound, to small successes bring in larger successes. So, you're not maybe you're not going to solve everything in one day, but some smaller things. You mentioned we've talked in the past about breath work,
Yeah.
mindfulness. Talk to me a little bit about some of those things that might be.
Just thinking about the fact that you're just aside from the emotional work, there's just the daily, dealing with a new diagnosis and the stresses of that. And I think it doesn't have to be anything complicated to just and there's so many resources from YouTube to these meditation apps, like Insight Timer is one of them that's like free, and there's
Mhm.
some other ones, but you can literally just go and get this app or go on YouTube and they have these short guided meditation to just help you kind of like relax in the moment. And, you know, even in my work, I talk about doing like a 21-day, it's called like a watcher meditation, where you're just basically what you're trying to do is get to a place where, because there's so much stress in your life, whether it's just stress or it's because of, dealing with a diagnosis of cancer and you're stressed, is to just, like you said, every day giving yourself like 5 minutes alone
Mm-hmm.
with your thoughts and your breath, and just bringing yourself into a place where you can, you know, allow your breath to be what you're focusing on.
Okay.
It helps your body kind of go more into that relaxation state where it could be more restorative. than the fight or flight, which is the cortisol and the stress and that like we got to put out a fire, like everything's an
Right.
emergency feeling, right? So if you just doing a little practice, like 1 minute, 5 minutes, anything, it doesn't have to be anything fancy like sitting on a pillow for like an hour, which is when we think about meditation, we think about like legs crossed and
Right.
it has to be this like whole setup. Doesn't have,
Right.
it could be like you could literally be standing, at the kitchen counter and just do this 1 minute exercise where you just close your eyes and
Hmm.
like get really focused on like the inhale and exhale coming in and out of your nose.
Okay.
Even put a timer on and just focusing on your breath, because when you're focused, the whole point of it is when you're focusing on your breath, you can't also think because you're focusing on your breath. So it's like a muscle that you're practicing to just make aware of like the present moment, like the moment that you're in, as opposed to thinking about the future or thinking about the past and what you're
Right.
going to do next, because it's always about like putting out fires in life. So it's a
Is there
really,
a time? Is there a time throughout the day,
yeah.
morning, afternoon, evening, that this may be, you know, uh, you may find,
Hmm.
more effective or better for the individual?
Well, I think do it when you can, like set it up so that whatever is going to set you up for success that you can commit to is the best. I
Okay.
Morning is great. Like I know you have a morning practice because it sets your day up for like being in a clearer, more relaxed way to start your day.
Right.
Morning meditation is beautiful, but if you can't do morning, I would say anytime you actually can just take a moment and do it is in my mind like really helpful.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my time is, but my mornings start at 4 a.m., right? So it's very quiet, very quiet. I mean, you can hear everything, right? Everything is, it's very, very quiet. So when you hear something, moving or anything else, it's very, very pronounced. So and I enjoy seeing the sun, like many, I think even many cancer patients have told me, "Hey, I enjoy seeing the sun come up. Enjoy seeing the sun, come down."
Yeah, and I think there's some I think it's one, I forget if it's like there's a terminology, but there's something about like that 4 a.m. window that's quite magical actually in some faiths, like some religious beliefs, where you really get like some like there's some like spiritual downloads that can come at that time of day.
I think so.
Yeah. So I
Because I find that for me that's that's a time when that it's quiet. Even if let's say if I went out for a walk or anything that may be doing that's a nice quiet time,
yeah,
because at 9 a.m. Everything you're hitting it running until 5, or you're hitting the ground running during that period of time. So that's a good quiet. It's a good
exactly.
quiet moment.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it doesn't even have to be that you're not like meditation can be even a movement meditation. So you could actually be like on a walk outside and
Mhm.
and I really encourage people to also get out in nature because it's reconnecting you with yourself. It's very introspective, it's very peaceful. So it's again bringing that clarity, relaxation. It also will help sometimes just taking that moment to yourself alone will bring you that place to just be able to think about the next move, then like what do I want, as opposed to
Right.
like shutting out the noise, right? Again.
And we talked about, I know earlier I was talking with a patient about this the other last week, where they were talking about, for them, it was family uh,
Yeah.
that was, uh, they were overburdensome, right? And so, and I said, well, you may have to be careful with who you tell maybe you're not telling your story to everybody,
Yeah.
right? So you're being very selective. And someone said, I have a lot of friends. Well, I I have a lot of acquaintances, but if you really start to think about it, you may have a few of those close friends that you can share and discuss these things with. And the Samara, we're going to put links for you and links to the books. We're going to put those in so that they can get in contact. People can get in contact with you. And I would encourage people to reach out and get these aspects of their lives taken care of, so that it's not festering later. It's affecting all these things that you may not be aware of. And I look forward to future conversations that we're having about it, because this is extremely important.
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. The time went just zipped right by.
It did. Thanks again for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If you're in the need of integrative and holistic treatments for you or your family member, please feel free to reach out to us at findhelpforcancer.com. We'll start with a simple conversation and help point you in the right direction. Happy to help.